You are being influenced every single day. Not aggressively, not obviously, but strategically. And the people doing it? They're not evil. They're just using the same psychological frameworks that have been tested, refined, and deployed for decades. Today, I'll break down 7 psychological mechanisms used in business. Not just what they are, but how they work, why they're so effective, and most importantly, how to defend yourself against them. Because once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. And that awareness, that's where your power begins. Authority bias. Here's how it works. When someone with a title, a credential, or perceived status makes a claim, your brain takes a shortcut. Instead of evaluating the claim on its merits, you defer to the authority figure. This isn't stupidity, it's efficiency. Your brain is designed to conserve energy, and evaluating every claim from scratch is exhausting. But here's the problem. Authority does not equal correctness. A PhD can be wrong. A CEO can be misinformed. A best-selling author can oversimplify. The defense? Separate the person from the claim. Respect expertise, absolutely. But verify conclusions independently. Ask yourself, what's the evidence? Not who said it, but is it true? In practice, this means doing your own research, reading primary sources, consulting multiple experts, building your own understanding. Yes, it takes more time, but that's the price of independent thought. And in high-stakes decisions, it's a price worth paying. Scarcity pressure. This one is everywhere. Limited time offers, only 3 spots left, sale ends tonight. Here's the psychological principle. When something becomes scarce, our perception of its value increases. Not because the thing itself changed, but because our access to it is threatened. Scarcity triggers urgency. Urgency reduces logic, and when logic drops, emotional decisions take over. The business world knows this. That's why flash sales work. That's why limited editions sell out. That's why only 2 seats remaining makes you click buy now. The defense? Create delay. Build in a waiting period. If it's truly valuable today, it will be valuable next week. If waiting makes it unavailable, ask yourself, was I buying the product or the urgency? Real value doesn't disappear because you took time to think. Here's a practical rule. If you feel pressured to decide now, that pressure is intentional. Step back, sleep on it. If the offer is gone tomorrow, it probably wasn't right for you anyway. The right opportunities don't evaporate, they evolve. Social proof. When everyone's doing something, it feels safe to follow. Crowds validate decisions, popularity signals correctness. But here's the truth. Crowds create trends. Independent thinkers create advantage. Social proof works because humans are social creatures. We look to others for cues on how to behave, what to value, what to believe. This is useful in unfamiliar situations, but it's dangerous when it replaces independent judgment. The question isn't, what is everyone else doing? The question is, does this align with my goals, my values, my circumstances? Popularity is information, it's not instruction. Think about it this way. Every major innovation, every contrarian success, every breakthrough idea started as an outlier. Someone zigged when everyone else zagged. Following the crowd might keep you safe, but it won't make you exceptional. Tactic number 4 is the one most executives fall for: anchoring. The first number you hear becomes your reference point. Everything after is judged relative to that anchor. A product listed at 100,000 rupees, marked down to 29,000, feels like a steal, even if the actual value is 15,000. The anchor warps your perception. You're not evaluating absolute value anymore. You're evaluating relative savings. This shows up everywhere. Salary negotiations, pricing tiers, real estate listings. The first number sets the frame. The defense? Reset the anchor. Ignore what they say it was worth. Research independently. Ask, what is this actually worth to me? What would I pay if I had no reference point? Strip away the frame, evaluate on merit. A smart move? Set your own anchor first. In negotiations, whoever anchors first often controls the conversation. Know your number before they tell you theirs. Reciprocity. When someone gives you something, you feel indebted. Free samples, free trials, free consultations. A small gift creates a psychological obligation to return the favor. This is one of the most powerful social norms. Reciprocity builds relationships, it creates trust. But in business, it's also used strategically to influence behavior. The key distinction: gratitude is not obligation. You can appreciate the gesture without feeling compelled to buy, to say yes, to reciprocate disproportionately. The defense: acknowledge the gift. Feel grateful if it's warranted, but make your decision based on merit, not guilt. Ask yourself, would I make this choice if they hadn't given me something first? Reciprocity should enhance relationships. It shouldn't override judgment. And here's the nuance. Some gifts are genuine. Some are tactical. Learn to tell the difference. Genuine generosity has no strings. Tactical generosity always has an ask. The last tactic is the most subtle. Stay until the end. Fear framing. What happens if you don't act now? What if you miss out? What if this opportunity never comes again? Fear framing shifts your focus from opportunity to loss. And loss aversion is one of the strongest psychological forces we have. Studies show people are more motivated to avoid losses than to acquire equivalent gains. Losing 100 rupees feels worse than gaining 100 rupees feels good. So when a pitch emphasizes what you'll lose by not acting, it's tapping into that primal fear. The defense? Flip the question. Instead of asking what happens if I don't act, ask what happens if I do nothing. Often the answer is nothing catastrophic. Life continues. Other opportunities emerge. The fear was manufactured, not real. Fear is a tool. Use it to assess risk. Don't let it make your decisions. The most powerful people I know, they're comfortable walking away. They don't fear missing out. They trust that the right opportunities will align when the time is right. That calm, that's power. Commitment and consistency. Once you commit to something small, you're psychologically primed to say yes to something bigger. This is called the foot in the door technique. Free trial leads to basic plan. Basic plan leads to premium. Premium leads to annual contract. Each step feels small, but the aggregate commitment is massive. Here's why it works. Humans crave consistency. We want our actions to align with our identity. If I said yes before, I'm the kind of person who says yes. Saying no now would create cognitive dissonance. Businesses know this. That's why onboarding is gradual. That's why upsells come after you're invested. The defense? Treat each decision independently. Past commitments do not obligate future ones. Ask yourself, if I were making this decision from scratch today, with no history, would I still say yes? Your past self made a choice. Your present self can make a different one. This is especially critical in subscriptions, memberships, and long-term contracts. Just because you started doesn't mean you have to continue. Sunk cost is not a reason to keep going. Reevaluate regularly. Stay if it serves you, leave if it doesn't. The difference between being influenced and being powerful is awareness. These 7 tactics work because they operate below conscious thought. They trigger automatic responses, instincts, heuristics, mental shortcuts. But once you name them, once you recognize the pattern, the automatic response weakens. You create space between stimulus and reaction. And in that space, you regain control. You won't eliminate influence. No one can. But you can shift from being reactive to being deliberate, from being persuaded to being selective. Now, here's what I want you to do. Over the next week, watch for these 7 patterns: authority, scarcity, social proof, anchoring, reciprocity, fear, commitment. You'll see them in ads, in sales calls, in negotiations, in everyday business interactions. And when you do, pause. Name the tactic. Ask yourself, am I responding to the merit of this offer, or am I responding to the psychological trigger? That pause, that's where you build immunity. Not by avoiding influence, but by recognizing it. The goal isn't to become cynical. It's not to distrust everyone. It's to become discerning, to make choices deliberately rather than automatically. These tactics aren't inherently evil. Reciprocity builds communities. Authority helps us learn efficiently. Scarcity can signal genuine value. The problem is only when they're used to bypass your judgment, and the solution is awareness. Awareness creates choice, and choice creates power. Power belongs to the aware. If you value structured insight into power and decision making, subscribe. Not because of scarcity or social proof or reciprocity, but because the content delivers value, and you'll know the difference.